teach in English medium. When I got the admit card for the board exams, which was like 1.5 months back, I got to know, God, I have to appear in Hindi medium. I went for home running. I can do it, and the passion, the excitement, the belief, the conviction of doing something on your own and shaping it up to build something which is meaningful, which is impactful, was something that felt so natural and felt so exciting. Whatever we did after that was to create financing as a hook point. So that's when BizongoFin was born. Financing as a hook point became growth engine and acquisition channel to bring customers and SMEs on board.
In today's episode, we are joined by Sachin Agarwal, co-founder and CEO of Bizongo, a visionary platform transforming India's B2B landscape through commerce, financing, and logistics. Leadership Bizongo has empowered over 7,500 MSMEs, facilitated 4,000 crores in financing, and it's even scaled BizongoBuy to 1,000 crores in ARR in just 1 year. Sachin's a chemical engineer from IIT Bombay and a former risk manager who was overseeing forex portfolios. Sachin brings analytical precision and entrepreneurial drive to solving supply chain challenges. Join us as we talk to him about his journey. Hi, Sachin. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Great to have you here.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me, Mazin. And I've seen some of your previous work, podcasts, and posts, and I think I really like the depth and the interesting points that you cover. So yeah, love to be part, and looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you so much, Sachin. No, we're really excited about this one. So we start off with the rapid fire round, which is a new segment that we've introduced for the last year or so. So we'll jump right in. If you could pick any historical figure to lead one of your company's verticals, who would it be and why?
There is one Indian brand that I'm really inspired by, the classic Amul, and the founder of that, Mr. Varghese Kurian. I think had a very interesting approach. I call it more of a socio-economic entrepreneurship. But I think the kind of deep impact that one company has had on the socio-economy, transformation of a large population of India, and almost transforming a particular industry, a vast industry, a revolution. I think, quite inspiring, and yet we keep associating ourselves with the brand which does fantastic on marketing, doesn't take the defined paths, but keeps breaking the shackles.
Yes, years and
Very
years, for like
innovative.
decades. It's amazing.
Yeah, very
Yes,
innovative,
no,
very different, and yet a unique story. So yeah, I think Varghese Kurian.
good answer, unique one. What's on your bucket list?
On bucket list from a business standpoint?
From a life standpoint.
I think that's an easy one. I believe at some point of time, I want to be the reason why national anthem is played on a big stage, on a global stage, and yeah, I think I would love to live that moment.
And personally, any destinations that you want to go to? What or favorite places that you've been to?
Oh yeah, I think favorite has to be the Ladakh. I was fortunate enough to go there in early days when it was not so touristy. But I hear from people that has become slightly bit touristy now. But I went there, I think, in 2013, and it was a bliss. Like just after the college, and with friends on a road trip, and the beauty, the landscapes were just too
It's
breathtaking, I would
gorgeous.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I went there early on as well, and no, it's incredible, quite
it's
the experience.
incredible. Yeah,
Moving on to
yeah.
the business section of the rapid fire. What's your favorite hiring question?
My favorite hiring question is, I think, tell me the most difficult problem that you have ever solved, and the most difficult problem of your life with a very real example that one can share. So yeah.
I'm sure you get some fascinating answers out of that. And you learn a lot
Yeah,
about a
yeah,
system.
yeah, yeah.
What's a small decision that you made early on at Bizongo that had an unexpectedly large impact?
Think of our approach in early days. I think from a business model perspective, we were still in that phase of figuring things out, experimenting, improvising, and continuously rediscovering. Because B2B as a space, we when we got in 2015 was extremely unexplored. So I think all of our early days, impact was from a focus point of thinking about our people and how could we enable our people, empower them to bring the best out of themselves. And I think one thing that we always used to think that in India specifically, people are attached to families. I mean, families matter a lot for all of us. And how could we create that connection with family for people? So, for example, when we used to award someone or appreciate someone, we used to send a letter to the parents and the family and wives and saying that thanks for supporting this individual to achieve this feat. So I think that was I think it was a bit of an emotional decision, but when we did that, it actually felt very powerful in terms of how people start connecting with you as a brand and you as a company and start being associated and then giving their all in.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah,
It deepens the
yeah.
connection that people have with the company. Yeah, now you can see the effect of that. Um, and then the last one for the rapid fire. What's one truth that few people agree with you on?
The very fact that I am very patriotic, uh, I feel uh, uh, great about being an Indian, and that feeling that I told you that I want to be the reason why national anthem is played. I just it just gives me goosebumps, but I also don't know why. So there
It's
is no
it
rational
is
there
there,
is no
yes.
rational probably that I have, but it is what it is. And yeah, I think it is very difficult to make a lot of people feel that something can drive you, something can excite you every time, and for all along the life so much. So yeah.
That's amazing. So Sachin, tell us, where did you grow up? What influenced you in your early days? What made you so patriotic? It's always been
So
that
yeah, I
way.
think I grew up in a small town called Sikar, Rajasthan. It's near Jaipur. So I did my entire schooling in Hindi medium. So I think in early parts of my childhood, it was all about being in that rat race, topping class, topping board exams, and I don't think, except striving for excellence, there was any key takeaway that I had from the childhood. But I believe, of course, your family, your parents play an instrumental part in the way your personality is shaped up, and probably who I am today is part of that parenting and that environment that I got in the childhood, surrounded by the friends, parents, school. So yeah, I think a lot of credit goes to them for whoever, whatever I have done, and who I am today, and that upbringing and that environment. I think eventually shapes you as a human being. So yeah.
No, it definitely does. And walk us through, I mean, academic achievement was the top of your list as a kid growing up, and then you got into IIT Bombay. That was have been a turning point. Walk us through the next few years of your life.
Yeah, so I think on that, the most funny thing that I can remember is that I always studied Hindi medium till 11th. Uh, and then in 12th, I moved to Kota Factory, the classic Kota Factory, to prepare for JEE. And uh, and my school so I moved to Kota, but my school in Sikar, they didn't give me any transfer certificate there because they wanted me to appear for 12th from Sikar only. So there is a lot of competition in that part of the
To
state
get the
for
the people who are going to do
for
well, like
keeping
you.
your best students.
Yeah.
So my father told me on phone that don't worry, you stay in Kota. I will fill your board form. There is an application form that you have to fill before the board exams. So my father, being very caring about my studies, said you don't need to come to Sikar. You stay in Kota. I will fill your form. And when he filled the form in Hindi medium, while in Kota, I was studying the entire 12th in English medium because JE typically they teach in English
Great.
medium.
That's
So
good to hear.
when I went when I got the admit card for the board exams, which was like 1.5 months back, I got to know, God, I have to appear in Hindi medium, and then
Oh my God.
I went
That's great.
home running from Kota and spent a month's time to learn the
There was
Hindi
no missing
translation of the
exam.
English
Oh my God.
and then
Wow.
gave
And these
exam
are
in
your
Hindi
board
medium.
exams.
So,
Nice.
yeah, I think
That's insane.
I still consider myself very fortunate to have cleared JEE. I think when I compare myself with others who were around me, the kind of hard work that they put in and yeah, I was
It's
fortunate enough
true.
to clear that exam, I can say.
Uh, that's amazing. And so, when did you first start to think about entrepreneurship as a career path? Was it in college or was it much later on? Um,
I think it was in college. So maybe third year of college, when you sort of start thinking beyond your studies, what you're gonna do. And I believe it was a bit natural in the sense that the kind of people friends that I had around me, we used to talk a lot about doing something, out of the box, trying wacky ideas, wacky things. So I think by the end of the fourth year, we had started trying some very ridiculous ideas. But I think that entrepreneurial bug was there, is what I could see, and uh, I think I could self-discover myself in the days of IIT, where I knew that academics is not something that excite me a lot, and I wanted to do something where I could create much larger impact and could do things with more control and my own choices. So I think that was probably the genesis of the entrepreneurial thoughts. But I think, of course, when I got into the corporate job and spent 2.5 years in the first company, and through a lot of the experiences that I gained through that period, I could take the plunge and tell myself that, yeah, this is what my heart is saying, and this is what I believe I must do. Otherwise, I'll regret, not taking that path.
Walk us through that decision because it's not an easy decision for a lot of people. And you spoke about how important family is. I'm sure you have to go and tell your parents that, hey, after getting into IIT Bombay, getting this amazing corporate career, I'm quitting to do a startup. How did that go?
For me, it was more importantly to convince myself that this is what I have to do. And I think that belief and that passion that if I try doing something like this, uh, uh, I would, I can do it. I mean, and something more meaningful I can do with my life, and I can probably drive or get closer to the dreams or the bucket list that I talked about. If I'm able to actually put these ideas and give them a shape of an organization. So I think it was all about telling myself that I have to try, this, because I have that feeling that I can do it, and the passion, the excitement, the belief, the conviction of doing something on your own and shaping it up to build something which is meaningful, which is impactful, was something that felt so natural and felt so exciting that I took that call. I was very, very lucky that once I took that call, everyone in the family, I had a huge support from them. Of course, there was being the youngest child in the family, and my father was in a government job. My elder sister, elder brother, they are both in government jobs. So I think they had done all the sacrifices to make me feel financially secure, and I could take that incremental risk to take that plunge, and they fully supported. Maybe I also had created that belief that if I'm taking some decision, I have thought through it. While that that was not the truth, but that's the impression that my parents definitely had. Otherwise, they would not have agreed so easily. But they agreed. They supported like anything.
That's amazing. So walk us through the early days. Like, how did you decide what space you want to build in? How did you figure out who you wanted to build the business with?
Yeah, so I think on that part also, there was a lot of clarity the that we wanted to operate in the world of businesses, SMEs, MSMEs, and again, from the days of IIT to my first job, I was I got a lot of exposure to learn about businesses, how businesses operate, and I got a lot of natural, passion and intuition around trying to learn more about businesses and how businesses can potentially shape an economy, and went through the
And how
Alibaba
did you go
story.
about learning about businesses? Was it through your job? Were you interacting with SMEs
Yeah,
or how? Okay.
not really SMEs. So while my job was to be in risk, providing risk advisory to hedge funds,
To like
uh,
it's totally other end of the
it
spectrum,
was
right?
it
Which is
was
why.
yeah. But what I did as part of, and again, I think that's what your natural passion and inclination takes you to. So what I started doing as part of that job, that all the investments that those hedge funds were making, and these were very large hedge funds, I started taking a lot of natural interest and started looking into those investments, why those investments were being made, what was the rationale, and I started writing myself the investment commentary, the hypothesis, the P&L performances, and all of that. And while that was not part of my job, but I just felt like doing so much deep research and knowing so much more about those investments, and when people, my bosses, looked into some of those writings, they really liked it, and they started asking me, why don't you send me this every day? And I said, like, yeah, I would be more than happy. So I think all of that got me into the world of businesses. I started watching or listening to CNBC 10-12 hours a day, and hearing finance minister, hearing governor, hearing industry leaders. How do they think about business? How businesses in India are different than the rest of the world, and all of that so fascinated and naturally excited me that I could do it. For life, it felt like that if this is
You
one thing
knew
that I,
that this is the space I want to be in, which is
yeah,
amazing. I think that it's
yeah.
easy to build conviction when you have that kind of
Exactly.
strong
So,
passion.
and
Yeah.
then went through the Alibaba story, and learnt about how uh, a simple idea of bringing technology to a large section of businesses, which is SMEs. China is home to 70 million SMEs, could really transform an economy, and I mean, such a large population, business population in the country. And when I got to learn that India is like just next to China in terms of number of SMEs, 60 million SMEs, uh, still an economy which is the size of 1/7 of China. I felt very strongly that if India has to become a 10, 20, 30, $50 trillion economy, the SMEs have to be empowered and enabled much better. They have to really drive that inclusive socio-economic transformation. It can't happen without them. And it felt like that in India still, and naturally so, only the top of the pyramid, when you draw a business pyramid, only top of the pyramid, top 500,000 businesses are well equipped or have access to the right, technology, resources, capital, and all of those things. And mid and bottom of the pyramid is still struggling. They are still struggling. They are still finding their feet. And I mean, that's where we thought that if they can be, if we can build something for them, and if they can be enabled in a very simplified way, we can bring technology to them. Maybe we can drive, maybe we can contribute to the socio-economic transformation that India should see, must see, led by SMEs in the next 2, 3, 4 decades. So wanted to be part of that journey, and I think that's what was very exciting as a thought. We of course, it was a lot of passion, raw passion and belief. We didn't know what we were getting into and had very little experience in terms of the realities of the business dynamics, and on ground, didn't have any on ground understanding of how business is executed in India. So had to learn that on the go. But yeah, I think it was all worth it, that did that. We did take that step by virtue of the raw passion and belief that bringing technology to businesses in India may make business on the go happen, and that's why Bizongo. So the name is Business on the Go, and yeah, that idea was powerful enough for us to convince ourselves.
I mean, it's a big idea. It's a great vision, and it's the passion is clear. But how do you go from that to actually executing? Like, it's a huge space. Where do you start to tackle? Do you like walk us through the journey?
Yeah, so I think the very fact that we didn't have any experience also had its own upside. That we were not biased. Come with any, we didn't come with any baggage or any preconceived notions, which I think is a one of very fundamental principle of entrepreneurship. So we had a clean slate, and we told ourselves always that we would go by first principles, and it has to be a first principle problem solving approach. We wouldn't look at what's happening in China and what's happening in US and whether it has happened anywhere else or not. We will look at everything from a first principle standpoint. We may fail multiple times, but we were very convinced that there is nothing else that can work in a space which is so unexplored, uncovered, and undiscovered, and there are hardly any comparables, and there
You
are
can't
hardly any
compare it to other
benchmarks.
geos, and SMEs in India are not the
Yeah,
same as China or the US or Europe.
exactly. So I think first principle led problem solving was the method, which uh, uh, which is one thing that I think we haven't changed in the last 10 years. So it still continues, and that really, I mean, while that it can be said that all the failures that we had in the initial time was also because of that. But I think that was important for us to go through that journey and that grit. But I
Can you
think,
walk us through some of those failures, the ones that you remember that you really learned from?
yeah, so I think, for example, like first principle standpoint, what we told ourselves that uh, we will end up building a B2B e-commerce platform. So think of it like an Amazon for businesses. And when you see in B2C e-commerce, your your commerce, let's say, you getting the first order free or at a cheaper price, at a discounted price, first ride free, first food delivery free, that is a very
Activation.
powerful
Yeah.
hook point or very powerful tool of acquisition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
commerce in B2C works very well if you have to acquire customers, because you can hook them up by giving them some freebies at the beginning.
Makes sense.
And we thought from a first principle standpoint that in B2B also,
To be the same
commerce
thing.
has
Yeah.
to be hook point,
Yeah.
because fundamentals really don't change. So commerce has to be hook point, but the transaction size is very large. We are talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 lakh minimum order,
Mm.
first order size.
Yeah.
So discounting may not work, would not work,
You can't
but
go discount. Yeah. You already explained.
discounting may be very expensive. uh, so we said that maybe finding the categories. So in B2C commerce also, for example, Amazon or Flipkart started with books as a category, and then transitioned into certain categories which eventually dominated, like mobiles, electronics, and others. We felt that in B2B also, category selection is going to be the key. And if we get the category right without discounting, we can create commerce as a hook. And that's why in the early days, after a lot of first principle problem solving and analysis, we chose packaging as a category, which is a finished good category, uh, to launch and to build a e-commerce business in that. We did succeed as well in terms of scaling that to a $200 million category, only to realize in a very hard way that in B2B, actually, first, a finished good category may not be actually built in a for the purpose of e-commerce, uh, unlike B2C. So while in B2C, you are selling finished goods, like you're selling mobiles, you're selling the goods which are consumed, because it is B2C. It has to be consumed by consumer.
Got
So you
it.
can
By the
sell
person who
finished
handles.
goods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But in B2B,
It's not
selling
consumed by the
finished
person who's buying.
goods,
Yeah. They're
uh,
selling it to someone else
uh,
downstream. Okay.
yeah, we realize is not very favorable or not really scalable,
Ah.
because
Okay.
whatever finished good is there, that is going to be specific to that particular business. So there is no fungibility. There is no
Ah, it doesn't
fungibility. I can't
scale. For
sell
each
that
business,
good
you have to do a
to
different
somebody else.
packaging. You got it.
Yeah.
Understood.
So
Understood.
the first principle led learning was that in any e-commerce, you have to choose categories which are highly fungible. In B2C, that fungibility exists in finished goods, so you can build in finished goods. In B2B, fungibility doesn't exist in finished goods. So finished goods as a category is a wrong category in B2B, which is what we learned the hard way. And yeah, I think
So how
that
did you
was one of
pivot,
the.
and what was the pivot? How did you kind of move away from that?
So this was the first learning,
Mm-hmm.
and the second learning, which I previously touched upon, was around the hook point. That
Mm-hmm.
in B2B, in B2C, commerce is the hook point. In B2B, commerce may or may not be the hook point, because you can't give freebies worth lakh and and
So you
all.
can't. Customer acquisition has to work differently. It's not
It has to work
just like a
differently,
business. Yeah.
and then again we realized that after going through this journey, that in B2B, it's
You
not
need
the
boots on the
commerce,
ground, or
it's
how
the
do you do acquisition?
financing,
It's the
which is the
financing.
hook point.
Ah, that's the
You have
hook.
to get
Okay, got it. Because that's what
uh,
people don't have access to. That's what they need, and then they'll come to
exactly,
you if
exactly.
you're doing the financing.
So
Got it.
two first principle based learnings which didn't seem at all intuitive at the
Right.
onset. We were able to convince ourselves otherwise, but only to realize that we were on the wrong side of the things. But I think we could very firmly conclude that these are the two principles which cannot be ignored while we build the B2B e-commerce platform. And hence, whatever we did after that was to create financing as a hook point. So that's when BizongoFin was born, where uh, financing as a hook point became the core growth engine and acquisition channel to bring customers and SMEs on board. And in commerce, we had to re-evaluate the world of categories, and we determined that it has to be raw materials because they are fungible, which can only form part of categories for an e-commerce platform. And then in raw materials also, we ended up choosing some of the very fundamental, basic, high value, high frequency raw materials, which are highly fungible as well. So today on BizongoBuy, we have certain raw materials like steel, aluminium, only few of those which are very large value, large volume, high frequency, highly fungible. And we have BizongoFin, where we enable financing to SMEs. And when both come together, that's when we believe the true e-commerce platform can be built and imagined. So yeah, that's been the journey and learnings, and how we have implemented that to
That's
the core
amazing.
of.
And it was years of finding the right model and kind of iterating on your learnings, and then now you guys have scaled like crazy. I believe it's 7,500 MSMEs on your platform. How do you handle that kind of scale? You spoke about your deliberate selection of categories and making sure that they're scalable, but still, so many companies, they have individual needs. Do you need to think about personalization? How do you handle?
So I think we went into that direction again only to realize that if you are thinking scale, we cannot bring personalization in, because that I mean that is I would say counterproductive to scalability and building standardized high precision, highly predictable solutions for people, for businesses at scale. So I think we did go into that direction where we started thinking we started taking every SME, every business very seriously, but that did sort of limit our ability to scale and build more standardized solution, because the idea was always to make more and more SMEs experience the platform and the services. So I think it was a journey where we got distracted from into personalization and making customized solutions to now having absolutely standardized and I mean like absolutely standardized services and solutions at place. And the 7,500 SMEs, those are registered on the platform, but that doesn't mean that we service today all of them. So they, I mean, still it's a long journey where we can actually make all of them and many more transact on the platform. So I think we are in that journey today where we are, trying to find how through very standardized offering and very low touch or low intervention with the SME, even with that, how can we service them effectively and create the desired impact for deliver the desired value proposition for them.
No, that's interesting. And Bizongo Buy, I believe, is relatively new and it's scaled really quickly. Any learnings from that? Was it just because you knew exactly what you're targeting and how to go about doing it?
I think once we got it right from a first principle standpoint, we knew we have to focus a lot on category selection. We spent actually 2 years time to just select the categories. So we kept challenging ourselves, and we told ourselves that we have failed once, but all the learnings that have come from those failures must now go into be making the right decisions. So we were patient. We spent a lot of time in category selection and applied all the learnings and first principles to identify the categories. And once we identified those categories, I think we knew how to execute, and we knew our constraints, and we knew the fundamental parameters and the principles on basis which we were selecting those categories. And then execution became very focused. We were clear in terms of what we wanted to do. So we could avoid B2B is a perfect playground for distractions. So you will, because of the
Estimating.
size of the market, because of
Yes.
the volumes, values. I mean, it's a perfect playground for distractions. So if one can avoid distractions, I think that's the half of the problem solved. So I think what we did good in BizongoBuy, or I can say Commerce 2.0, is to avoid distractions and be razor sharp focused in terms of doing what we believed in. And I think that's what essentially has resulted into that fast growth.
That's amazing. That's quite an insight. And you've spoken about how B2C is so different from your business, but you've hired quite a few veterans from Flipkart and Amazon. Uh, so tell us why, like what skills are you looking for? What's the thought process there?
Yeah, so I think my belief in the fact that every industry space problem will have its own nuances, and everything is going to have its unique challenges. But it's the same people usually who solve uh, the those difficult problems. So what I truly believe in is that your fundamental skills, your competencies around how hungry you are in terms of learning and solving problems, and how you are constantly uh, you know uh, enhancing your ability to learn and solve problems is something that's a fundamental trait, and that trait can be applied then to across the industries. You have to be of course passionate about the purpose and the vision. So the belief in the purpose and vision of the company, coupled with hunger and ability to learn and problem solve. If I see those two things uh, in professionals, I believe, and in leaders, I believe that's what I look for. And yeah, it was it was probably a coincidence, and not a coincidence. Maybe Amazon and Flipkart, the kind of organizations they have created that ecosystem where they've attracted such talent, which who were demonstrating these capabilities and these traits. So maybe yeah, that's what clicked. But yeah, uh, uh, it is great to have that type of talent alongside you, because you end up co-learning, and you end up really enjoying the time that you spend, because it's so intellectually so challenging, and you have lots of learnings alongside.
That's amazing. And you want to talk a little bit about the acquisitions, Hexa, Factory Plus, which were the bigger ones. What's your framework for identifying startups to acquire, and how do you think about synergies?
So yeah, I think being brutally honest, I think none of our acquisitions have worked the way we would have wanted till now. So if I can be very candid, I think we have to still figure out our acquisition
Still working on
strategy, and
it. Fair
how
enough. Fair
how
enough.
best we can integrate and grow the business and organically. I think we don't have our playbook clear yet on that. Yeah.
No, fair enough. And so now looking to the future, you guys have clearly found a model that works. You've been able to scale it. What do the next 5 years look like for Bizongo, and what are you excited about?
While we have had our journey, which was full of discovery, exploration, improvisations, we can call them pivots as well, and finding, I mean, being very dynamic in terms of how did we take certain business decisions to arrive where we are. I think now it is a lot about bringing a lot of stability to the way we are going to build the business from here on. So bring a lot of predictability, stability, uh, because we've seen fair bit of dynamism, ups and downs, and everything. So I think uh, the first milestone would be to turn profitable. We are still not profitable, so that I think is the first immediate milestone that we would want to target in next 12 to 15 months. So that's the first part, and then the second part, I would say, we would want to achieve market leadership, and in B2B again, uh, uh, because of the virtue of the size of the opportunity. Even if I get a 1% market share, probably I will be the market leader. So that's the
Wow, that sounds very
that's the
nice. That's crazy.
yeah. So we are not. That's why I often say that we are still in 0 to 1 journey, because I define 0 to 1 where at 1 you have 1% market share, and we don't have 1% market share in anywhere in any of the categories that we operate. So I think the second milestone would be to complete that 0 to 1 journey by having at least 1% market share in categories that we operate. And if we are able to do that while being profitable, I think we would have set up the foundation of building uh, something very, very unique, and potentially trying to build India's own Alibaba in a very unique way, and then chart out our growth path and trajectory from there on.
That's amazing. And I know you call it 0 to 1, but it's not. But the second phase, this kind of growth phase, we're looking for more stability. Your role will have to change as well, right? Have you thought about how your role changes and what are some things that you're deliberately doing to kind of transition this to growth phase?
Yeah, I think one thing that I certainly believe I have to unlearn, and I should not do, which is a classic leadership principle that we which I used to get very excited about, is what by leading by example. But I don't think I believe in that anymore. I believe leadership is a lot about uh, you know enabling other people to lead by example, versus because if you continue to lead by example, you become the bottleneck and everybody is looking at you. uh, and that one person, everybody is just looking at you, and when are you going to lead by example, and then we'll start from there on. That doesn't help. So I think my learning, which as part of this journey, has been that that's probably not the, not a principle that works for me. I have to create leaders, and I have to have many more people who can lead by example. And it cannot always be me, and it should not be me. And there should be many, many more leaders who must set very different examples, very different standards. They must challenge me on various different fronts, so that we have a ecosystem of leaders, an environment of leadership and excellence being created, which brings the best out of me, them, and then everybody else. So I think, yeah, that's what I believe will really unlock the true potential of building an organization where you are constantly thriving for excellence, and bringing the best out of everyone.
And this is a question that we ask all our guests. What's some unfiltered feedback that you received that really impacted you personally or professionally?
Yeah, so I think actually the feedback I got that feedback from my executive coach. So I went into this executive coaching as a journey, because I thought that my leadership style was not really being very effective, and I had to improvise, and I had to probably uh, understand my blind spots, and be more self-aware, and become a more effective leader. And I went through an executive coaching exercise. Unfortunately, my coach, Mr. Pramod Kothi, he recently passed away, but I have I mean, I think it was transformational for me to get an opportunity to be coached by him. He was ex MD of Pyramid Enterprises, and I think he helped me uh, truly look into my blind spots, which were around. I think I was over empathetic. First, first of all, I believed that by you know, I mean, by exercising empathy with people, I would
You'll be a
end
good
up
leader.
building.
Yeah.
I would end up building true connection and true relationship with them, but only to realize that that's just a very small part of trust building. In fact, what is more important is to challenge them, is to be brutally honest, radically candid, to invite conflicts, and to create an environment which is full of confrontations and conflicts is actually more important to build trust versus being
Being empathetic.
being empathetic. So I
Wow,
think that
that's
was uh,
counterintuitive. Yes.
I think that was very core learning, and I think naturally as a human being, I was always non-confrontational and avoiding conflicts. So I had to take that very huge shift from being over empathetic to being brutally candid and radically, honest with in each of my conversations with my people to actually become a bit more effective as a leader. So I think, yeah, that was transformational in terms of how I felt about it.
Thank you so much, Sachin. We could go on, but really enjoyed the chat and hearing about your journey in detail. Thank you so